What's going on, guys? We got another retopping video. Ryan had a telebody floating around and he thought he wanted to do the retop. We did a whole ton of modifications to this. It was originally supposed to have a pick guard and I said, no, we can't do that. We'll make it so that it's all bottom routed and that he can add the hardware that he needs. So we recut a bigger control panel and then put the switch up on the top, and he can get that thin line type of guitar versus putting a pickguard on here. This fabric was originally supposed to be more blue, but as the epoxy hit it, that combination turned it to more or less a teal, which I was really surprised by, considering that the green fabric didn't do that at all. But sort of lessons learned on what I can and can't do. I'm wondering if I had sprayed it first with a sealer, if it would have done that. But Ryan's happy, I'm happy. We're going with this flat bridge. I'm not gonna drill the holes. I can give him a little bit of room depending on what neck he is gonna put on here. He doesn't know yet. This is sort of, hey, I got this body floating around. What should I do with it? Same process as before, where we sanded the body down, added a piece of wood, built the little sort of boundary around it, and then poured the epoxy on. We'll go through that in all the video. And then again, we added the binding, and then I tried a new finish here called Odie's on the back. Odie's oil. It is a sort of universal food safe finish, and it's got that satin look. I told you guys I was going to be doing a lot more satin guitars. Really happy with the way this turned out. I've got a couple scratches in the binding I need to clean up after I buff this out, but let's get into the video and show you how it's done. So here's the body in its raw form as I got it. Set up for humbuckers and a pick guard, and we gotta dump the pick guard for sure. So we'll drop on a router template to open up the back and make it a rear access control panel. Got my DeWalt 621 router, and we're going to just route out as much of that backside as we can. A lot of times you want to just hog out where you're routing with the drill bit before, but I've got a big router bit that'll do most of the work. And then this is the template cover itself. And as I was going through this, I realized I probably should get everything done before I go to the back. And on the top, we're going to take down, maybe about 1/8. So we're just measuring that. We want to take that round over off, and then we'll bring it upstairs to the WoodTech dual drum sander, and we'll just sand off maybe about 7 passes. Will get me down to the right length, and we're going to glue on an ash top next. This gets rid of that round over and then gets me a nice clean prep surface. I had a piece of ash sitting in the basement which matched this body perfectly. So we'll get some glue on it, spread it out. This is just WoodTech glue or Type Bond glue. This is just regular yellow Type Bond. Spread it out with an old credit card. Plop the body on. Make sure it sits in the right spot, and then we'll bring it over to my wine press clamp and clamp it down. Then it's time to do some laundry. This is the piece of fabric, and I'm going to iron it out, make sure it's flat, that it's got no bends in it or wrinkles. So we'll pull that out. And then we're going to glue the fabric back to the top. So now that I've got a nice flat surface, we're going to spread some more Type Bond glue and drape that cloth back onto the top. So that roller is spreading out the glue evenly, and there's the beautiful blue top. We built a lip around it again, so I've got some I guess 3/4 edge band, and then we taped it on the bottom, clamped it with those little clamps, make sure it's sealed so that the epoxy doesn't drip all over the body, which is what happened last time. So this time I made sure that I've got everything sealed properly. And this fabric is beautiful. Lucky to find this. And we're going to just plop on some epoxy. 2-part epoxy, 50-50 mix. Mix it up. Let it sit for about 10 minutes. Then mix it up again and you should be good to go. Plop it down, pour it on, and you can see how it already kind of goes green slightly as soon as I pour it on. It's just a weird effect. Now it's more teal-ish than blue. But we want to get this stuff spread out all over the top. This is self-leveling. So once we put it on and you find a level spot in your shop or in your basement, put it on and let it sit for 2 weeks. We bring out the lighter to get all the bubbles out. Got a blowtorch that works out pretty well. And then, like I said, 2 weeks later, we begin to start cutting out the rest of it and get this cut to shape on the bandsaw. Again, cut as close as you can to the sides without getting too close to the body. It is a skill. And essentially all this stuff just goes to waste, and I've got the perfect top shaped out already. Take this upstairs to my Stanley overarm pin router, and I've got a bottom bearing bit, and we're just going to route it so that it's all flat. It's looking good. Route out where the neck is. And then we're going to lay this out with my laser level. I'm going to draw a center line. I wanted to make sure I got this perfect. So that's the center line. We're going to take some of that heavy Stumac tape and lay it out. That is my hard 25.5 ruler. Make sure I know where the humbuckers are going to go. Again, make sure the spacing is correct. Pop out the neck. And now we'll start doing some routing on the top. And if you remember in the beginning, I've got the essentially pieces already routed out. I just got to drop in the humbucker routes. All the wiring's done. And now we'll finish up the back side, get it all flush. I want to make sure this looked right. Again, that's my DeWalt 621 router. Slow back and forth process. Clean it up. Thin line template that I use all the time. It's upper toggle switch in the right spot. You can see my head, not going bald. It's a good thing. By drill, it's just an 1/8 inch bit, just as a marker. And I'm just going to flip over my let's call template. That's going to open up for the switch and get it down with the flat. We'll flip on another left call template for the control cover. And the back line is pretty much done at this point. Put a sand sides flat. Rigid, oscillating spindle sander. This is probably the best luthier tool in the market that is not overpriced and is easily accessible to people. Assuming we all have it. It's a great tool, great price point. And I got 2 of them. One for the spindle, one for the belt. Just clean up that edge. clip out my bits and put the StewMac binding bit on there. We'll put some black binding on this. Got a little glue. Gonna throw it in the channel. You can see the bottom where I've got all my tape lined up. You guys got to use that StewMac tape. They finally bought either the tape making machine or whatever, but this stuff is back. There's no tape better for this process than that tape. I'm happy StewMac made the investment in that machine. I guess the company went out of business, and I think either they bought the machine or someone bought it and had proprietary rights to it, but there is nothing than that thick paperback tape. Throw on the glue, spread it out with a toothpick. Push it down and tape it on. I then use the StewMac thick scraper. I really like these actually. This binding is a little bit thick, and this does the job really well. Quick process. Make sure you clamp your guitar down to the table. And then we have to scrape the sides of the binding as well. I try and get it so that it's perfect, but you always got to scrape it to make it look right. So we scraped the sides, didn't film that. And then I put on 1 coat of 2K to seal up the binding to the side. I didn't film that because it's really a mess with my camera setup. And then I brought it back downstairs here with that open grain sandpaper. And we're going to sand off after we put that 1 coat of finish on. Get it nice and flat. And then I put 2 coats on just so it looks right. And I was actually using those Eastwood 2K cans because I had to spray this in another project I'm working on. And I started 320, 600, 800, and then 1500. And then at that point you can take it right to the buffer. And this is where 2K is really easy to use. So I've got the epoxy on the fabric and then just a little bit of 2K to just make it perfect. It seals in the binding and everything. So then on the back of this, we're going to use Odie's oil. And I've got another video on that you'll see shortly. Been wanting to do some satin finishes. So this Odie's oil is a nice satin finish. Dries hard, toxic, safe for cutting boards and stuff. And a viewer recommended that I try it, so here we go. Actually pretty happy with the way this turned out. It darkened up the wood just slightly, but left a really nice satin finish. So the process is apply it, wipe off any excess, and then let it dry and buff it the next day, and then you're done. And if you've got any spots that need a little bit more, apply, wipe off, let it dry and buff it. So it's really easy to use. So now that the top is sanded to 1500, the back is close to being done. And here we're wiping off whatever is left. We'll take this to the buffer. I probably spent about 15 minutes getting this all buffed out. I've had this buffer for close to 15 years, maybe longer. I moved it to the center of the shop, secured it. First time I made it was a little wobbly. And then I have 2 sides, one with, I think, about 10 buffs, one with 5, so I can get into that inner horn. But just a little bit of work and it's all set. We'll go live in video. We're gonna put some black control plates on this, and this is all set. So Ryan can hook this up. Hopefully he'll post it on his Instagram when he gets it done, and I'll show you guys in one of the live videos that I do coming up. Thanks for watching, guys, as always, and we'll see you in the next video.